All right, we have a tunnel freezing system that's using cryogenics, and we're taking the bud off of the fields so we can preserve it within 24 hours of harvest. So all of the medicinal constituents to the plant remain intact at the time of processing, regardless if that's a week away or a month away or 2 months away, because we're clearly looking at handling thousands of pounds of biomass, which is not an overnight job.
That's Wayne Bendistis. He's the Director of Cultivation and Extraction at Floyd's of Leadville, the CBD company founded by Lancaster County native and former professional cyclist Floyd Landis. This is the Lancaster Farming Industrial Hemp Podcast. My name is Eric Harlock, and on today's show, we hear my interview with Wayne, who is joined by Floyd Landis and Jake Sitler. Together, they make up the core of the leadership of Floyd's Lancaster County operation. They've contracted with over 50 Pennsylvania hemp growers and are just now in the throes of harvest season. I caught up with these guys last week at a brew pub in Ephrata called St. Boniface, after they had been out visiting some of their farmers. Great food and drinks, but too noisy for a podcast, so we all piled into my car and I interviewed them in my mobile podcast studio. The sound quality is better than I expected, but it's not without its challenges. There are some, air conditioner noises, a fan here and there, some weird chirping in some parts. So thank you for your understanding and patience on that. But what really shines through in the interview is the camaraderie and synergy between Floyd, Jake, and Wayne. And wait till you hear about this cryogenic freezing operation. And then we're going to catch up with Peter Hughes. He is the president of Red Barn Consulting in Lancaster County, and he's also the proud owner of the very first 15-foot CBD harvester in the state of Pennsylvania, and I believe anywhere on the East Coast for that matter. So we'll hear about this harvester and find out whether or not it's available to rent. Spoiler alert, it is available to rent. But first, a couple of quick sponsor messages. This episode of the Lancaster Farming Industrial Hemp Podcast is brought to you by Organic Mechanics Soil Company. Located in Chester County, Pennsylvania, Organic Mechanics has been making and distributing organic, earth-friendly potting soils and soil amendments since 2006. Using quality ingredients like biochar, worm castings, rice hulls, compost, and more, Organic Mechanics provides off-the-shelf solutions as well as custom blends for hemp production. Go to organicmechanicssoil.com or call 610-380-4598. Organic Mechanics Soil Company, providing soil solutions for hemp growers. This episode of the podcast is brought to you in part by CIP Group Insurance. Their experience with the agriculture and hemp industries can offer your company the peace of mind that if something does go wrong, the CIP Group will be there with you every step of the way. So if you're ready to stop dealing with the headaches caused by bad insurance companies, call the CIP Group today at 267-832-9482 or visit their website at cipinsure.com. CIP Group, ensuring your success. Okay, before we get into our interview with Floyd and the gang, and while we're still in sponsorship mode, I'd like to give a shout out to the sponsors who are helping us host the reception at the Pennsylvania Hemp Summit next week in Lancaster. So big shout out to the Pennsylvania Hemp Industry Council, Kimberton Whole Foods, and Pocono Organics. And also, you've heard me talking about the live band that's going to be playing at the Hemp Summit reception. We couldn't do that without our music sponsors, the Pennsylvania Hemp Industry Council, and Floyd's of Leadville. So thank you, everybody. And if you still haven't gotten your tickets for the summit, go to teampa.com/PA Hemp Summit. And by the way, the music on today's show is all from a Tinbird Shadow rehearsal that happened last week. So, all right, here we go into the mobile podcast recording studio with Floyd Landis, Wayne Bendistis, and Jake Sitler. Hey, welcome to the Lancaster Farming Industrial Hemp Podcast. How you guys doing?
Good.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, great.
Well. Welcome to the mobile studio.
I like it.
Yeah,
this is a new acquisition.
This is a first for everybody.
3 dudes, 1 car.
All right, so could you... Wait, how many?
3 dudes, 1
Everybody
car.
count off. 1,
1,
2, 3.
7.
Right, three. We got.
We have 4 of us in one car, but some of us can't do math because here we are.
Anyway, welcome to the Lancaster Farming Industrial Hemp Podcast. I'm here with Floyd, Jake, and Wayne. Could you first introduce yourself?
Yeah, hey, I'm Floyd Landis, and thanks for having me on the show.
Yep.
Hi, I'm Jake, and I would also like to thank you for having me on the show.
I am Wayne, and I would third that.
So you've been on the show before. 2/3 of you have been anyway. Welcome, Wayne. So this is sort of the end of your harvest season, right? Or the middle of your harvest season, but you've grown a lot of hemp this year with some Lancaster County hemp farmers and other farms in Pennsylvania. How's that harvest going? Who wants to start?
Yeah, Wayne will start us off here. Wayne's the mastermind behind the hemp growing, and I tend to just try to keep up.
Somewhat. So the harvest is going well so far. We took a really slow bite in the beginning with a test on about probably what would be considered 1/8 of an acre. And we're taking it to our freezer system, and things are going very well. They're kind of just...
Let me stop you right there. Freezer system. That's intriguing. Tell me about the freezer system.
All right, we have a tunnel freezing system that's using cryogenics, and we're taking the bud off of the fields so we can preserve it within 24 hours of harvest. So all of the medicinal constituents to the plant remain intact at the time of processing, regardless if that's a week away or a month away or 2 months away, because we're clearly looking at handling thousands of pounds of biomass, which is not an overnight job. So
How many farmers are you working with?
about 55.
Wow.
Yeah, it's an interesting number.
And how's that going?
It's been
How is
fun.
it working with 55 farmers in Lancaster County?
No, I mean, it's all over. It's not just Lancaster in general, but we've mostly in Lancaster County. But I mean, it's going well. We're trying to figure this out as quickly as we can and understand the way that this is going to work, the supply chain, the logistics of everything. But I feel like just by the sheer fact that we're actually preserving people's hemp right now is a big win for Pennsylvania.
How is the freezing system different than a conventional drying system?
Well, the main difference on that is going to be the end quality. So using a drying system at scale, again, that will kind of cause issues with the quality control. So we're all after the medicinal compounds in this plant. So when it's being processed or even sold as a smokable product at the end of the day, the amount of those constituents that are intact dictate how therapeutic this plant might be, or the oil, or whatever the end product is. So by electing this route versus, let's say, a drier system that would run off of anywhere between 140 and 160 degrees per hour, we maintain terpenes and flavonoids and a lot of the cannabinoids that you would lose with a process like that. And we also negate any risk with mold or mildew or pesticides or failing any kind of microbial screenings by not hanging it up into a barn or a place that's not necessarily clean.
Like a sterile clean room. Yeah.
Right. So we're working on both having the capacity for a climate controlled environment that will allow us to take on that smokable flower content, as well as a tunnel freezing system that is enabling us to capture the plant as fresh as possible to the date of harvest to hold on to that value until we decide or have the capacity to then process it, turn it into subsequent products.
Now, does that higher quality product guarantee you just a higher market value?
Yeah, so there's a large part of the market right now, because CBD is kind of a cultural sort of obsession, is for just products that have CBD in them. A lot of people don't understand the difference between what ingredient is used on one hand, whether it's isolate, which is just CBD with none of the other properties that Wayne was talking about, or hemp that's been dried and processed, or stored for a long time and processed, or fresh frozen and then processed. But the market is becoming more mature and people are getting more educated on it. And I think that at the end of the day, whether or not it has more value for us, it has more value because we like to have products that we know are going to be, premium products that are going to have the most health benefits for the people that want to use them. So, for us, it's a matter of just having the highest quality ingredients for our own products. But we will be selling some of it on the market, and whether we get more for it or not is really not as important as just knowing that we have the best stuff that we can vouch for.
Right.
Yes, and we create full spectrum and isolate products. So for the full spectrum, that topic is very relatable. It actually dictates overall what the full spectrum is. So for anything that we have that's a full spectrum product, or anybody out there, this is the best method to getting that. For the isolate, it doesn't matter. So
that's, in fact, maybe I should point out what people mean by full spectrum in general is they mean it's got the full spectrum of compounds that it had at its most natural state, which is a little bit extra work to preserve, but I believe and many people that have used it over time believe that it has more medicinal value that way.
Right. There's more to hemp than CBD or even THC. There's
Absolutely,
a whole range of amazing things in there.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep. So once the harvest is over, what happens next?
With the harvest? Or
with Floyd's of,
so we're
of Leadville.
essentially right now at this point, we're picking up the biomass from each of our farmers as they're harvesting, and we bring it to our freezing location, and we get that done, and then we're storing, and then we're actually in the process of approval. Tomorrow we'll find out if we're processed to approve in the borough, and then we'll start processing there, which we've already pitched it quite regularly, and we've been pre-approved, but tomorrow's the more formal meeting, and then we'll begin processing hopefully by November. We'll have our stuff set up before then, but we're going to have to do a few trials and stuff, and we should be good to go probably by November.
Okay. And does that coincide with the opening of the cafe that we heard about
the cafe will be a little sooner.
Yeah.
The cafe was a project that we've been working on for a long time now, but just the permitting process in Lancaster City alone kind of set us back. But yeah, unfortunately, they're all coming down at one time. But it's an exciting time. It's just quite a busy time. So.
Right. So you guys are going to be at the Hemp Summit in October?
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, looking forward to it.
All right. And are you guys speaking at all about the
Floyd,
retail?
Yeah, we're talking about the retail lines and what it takes to be a brand in today's climate. A lot of it's the legal side, the regulatory side, dealing with state, the FDA, and kind of what it takes as a brand to survive in today's market. So that's been, really that's where Floyd and I have worked, right? That's our space. You, Floyd, much longer than me, but this past year, since the passing of the Farm Bill, that's where our focus has been as a company, is growing our brand, and it's been growing tremendously fast. We have a lot of fantastic retail partners now. It's a super exciting time, and now transitioning to be a seed to product company is been not a challenge. It's a learning experience, right? For all of us. I think anybody in this industry right now, it's been quite a
but you
learning
guys
experience.
have your name and your products out there. We were driving home, my family and I, from upstate New York. We stopped at a Sheetz, like up the Susquehanna in Pennsylvania, and you guys were on the placard out front of Sheetz.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, I know those guys. So that's
Sheetz
cool.
has been a great partner for us.
Yeah.
We've been really fortunate with them, and we have a lot of great partners in Pennsylvania, and there's been a lot of retail stores in Pennsylvania have taken this brand because of what we are doing agriculturally, but it's not just Pennsylvania. We've now been able to reach all across the country, and it's been a really fun time.
Right, but coming back to Lancaster County was like a decided marketing move, right?
Yeah.
And that's because the brand of Lancaster County is worldwide, right? So that in my opinion, that's really smart on your part to do that.
Yeah,
but you're from
certainly.
here, so it makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. I grew up here, so it means a lot to me. But on the agriculture side, you're right. It is known worldwide as the center, agriculture in the United States, or at least where it sort of started, and it's got this long history of doing things in traditional ways. And look, I love it, and I think a lot of people have seen it just passing through as tourists. But the Amish care about what they grow, and they're great partners in this whole thing.
Yeah. And just their whole sort of system of family working. It's perfect for the hand harvesting that's required for CBD hemp.
Yeah, it's great.
I think a big thing for Wayne has been that's really helped this process is Wayne's been able to come in and teach these guys, truly organic, real fertilizer programs that are pesticide free, that this is now medicine, right? We're actually not growing a product that is I mean, I hate to slight tobacco. I mean, I don't hate to slight it because I don't care about
Go
it.
ahead, slight tobacco.
But let's slight
It's okay.
tobacco, right? It's not a medicinal plant. I mean, it's not. I mean, maybe at one point it was touted that way, but you know, growing for CBD is, and if it is a medicinal plant, then it definitely needs to be grown that way.
Right.
And I think Wayne's done a fantastic job at doing that, and that's what's kind of set us apart as a group, is his ability to go into these farmers and give them the right fertilizer programs and come up with the best soil technique to make a fantastic product.
Wayne, you want to tell our listeners some granular knowledge of your,
Yeah.
I don't know, like what does the soil need? What should they be looking at pH wise? What do
Hold
they
on,
need
Wayne starts
fertilizer
talking and
wise?
giving all his trade secrets away here.
Yeah.
As much as you can. You're like,
The bottom line is, to second what Jake was going after, is it's just straightforward, counterintuitive to use bad chemistry to create a medicine. We've already done what we're going to do to our food crops. People are waking up to that every day, and they're figuring it out that that stuff needs to change. But this crop doesn't have any room to be introduced with those kinds of issues, because if you are treating a child or an elder person or just somebody who's using it for general wellness, because this doesn't have to be always used for an actual problem. General wellness, it's good to ingest these kinds of things. It's good for homeostatic regulation. It's good to keep us balanced and able to take on the day, whatever that might bring. So if you were to grow this crop with different insecticides or pesticides that are used traditionally, it shows up, and that creates a lot of conflict as far as the resale side and making it into products, because no one wants that, and then that requires removal, and that specific removal of those unwanted chemicals is a very costly portion of a process, and that's what we're looking to avoid by growing clean medicine. pH and all that stuff, I mean, the plant loves 6,4. There's a lot of details I could get into that would kind of talk about these things, but it's pretty readily available. It doesn't take a lot of expertise. The experience lies in how to do this on scale with agriculture and not take the basement grower mentality and try to blast it out, because one will fail quickly with that. People have gone through that lesson this year, and we definitely want to make sure that we're bringing a really high quality product to everybody and doing our best to ensure that it is grown well and it is grown clean. This plant is considered what is called in the agronomy world a dynamic accumulator, which means that it is proficient at taking in different metals or compounds that might have been in the soil in different forms and locking it into its biomass. It's used for a remediation tool at Chernobyl, so that should speak to the level of how it is effective in these ways. So the last thing you want to do is bring it into an environment where people have had very poor practices or will use poor practices with bad chemistry and then grow the crop in that scenario. It just increases your risk significantly for having an inferior product, and that's just something we don't stand for. If a kid has seizures and you need to use this on the spot to help them, neurotoxins are not what you want to have involved with that. Most parents would not be okay with that.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. What's Floyd? Floyd of Leadville.
That's me.
Yeah. We'll give you the last word here. I really appreciate you guys sitting in the mobile studio
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
on
Look,
this
I
beautiful
think
September day.
even though that wasn't his main point, what we represent and what we're about came through in Wayne's last kind of comment about, we believe in this because it's helped us and people we know, and we don't want to make something that's going to be any less quality than the best that we can possibly come up with. And I think that's what we're trying to do here in Lancaster, and we have a good group of farmers that are also willing to listen and learn this whole thing. They've grown all kinds of different crops. Some of them have grown tobacco, they've grown fresh produce, and some of them have grown in organic practices. But each crop comes with its own challenges, and they've been great partners in this whole thing.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate your time today.
Thank
and
you.
I guess we'll see you at the summit next week.
We'll be there, man.
Salute.
Cool. Cheers to that. Right. Okay, so we have an Instagram page at LF Podcast Hemp. So yesterday I received a message on Instagram from Peter Hughes. Now I've met Peter before a few times at some of the local hemp events. He's got a company called Red Barn Consulting. He works with farmers. So yesterday he sent me a video in the message of a harvesting machine, clearly harvesting hemp. It's a machine that I didn't know existed in Pennsylvania. Well, it does. And yesterday he was down in southern Lancaster County harvesting hemp at Cedar Meadow Farm in Holtwood, home of Steve Groff, the cover crop guy. So this is the first machine of its kind in Pennsylvania, which is why I'm excited to share it, because the story of hemp deserves to be documented. So here we go. First, can you just introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Peter Hughes. I'm president of Red Barn Consulting, located in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Okay. And so you are working with some hemp farmers, and today specifically you're out harvesting using some pretty neat equipment, right?
We are. About 3 months ago, we were just looking at what types of infrastructure would be needed in order to assist in the harvest. And so I purchased a harvester out of Colorado from a company called Formation Ag.
Okay. And can you describe that harvester? Sort of what it looks like, what it does?
Sure. It's in particular a CBD hemp harvester. It looks basically like a combine head, but it goes on the front of a front end loader tractor. So it would have a reel and then a series of conveyors that would cut the whole plant. It then hits the conveyor and then another conveyor and loads it on top of a wagon or onto a truck.
Okay. And how much can you harvest, let's say in an hour or a day? What's capacity?
Sure. I would say that the limiting capacity to it is how many times we can get a wagon to unload. So we've been pretty happy with how fast we could harvest. I would estimate that we could probably do 10 to 12 acres per day.
Wow.
If we could just keep that thing fed. And the real trick is to being able to get it unloaded and then get the hemp hung. We're currently hanging it in high tunnels right now.
Okay.
And so that's really kind of the limiting factor is we can cut as fast as we can, and the guys are working as hard as they can to get it up to the high tunnels and hung.
Okay, so having more labor help would help.
Yeah, or just the infrastructure of a lot of wagons, a lot of tractors to unload right from the harvester. But it is really going a lot smoother than we thought, which is knock on wood when it comes to harvest.
Right. And then so the CBD hemp that you're harvesting, you're going to process that for CBD oil, or what's the end game there?
Yeah, it would be for CBD oil. The stuff that we're currently cutting will go up to Hempfield Labs, a CBD extraction company up in Pottstown, Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay, great. All right. Is there anything else you want to share with us about that harvester?
No, just that it's open for rent or for
there you
to
go.
Come out and custom cut. So a little plug for we'll be actually running an ad in the Lancaster Farmer this weekend, and as harvest comes in, if you need some help, just give us a ring. All
right. So get in touch with Red Barn Consulting.
That's correct.
All right. What's that phone number?
717-393-2176.
All right. So just to reiterate, this machine is available for renting. If anyone needs help with their harvesting, call Peter Hughes at Red Barn Consulting.
You got it. Appreciate it, Eric.
Well, that just about does it for the show today. Just a reminder that next week's show will be recorded live Monday night, October 7th at the Hemp Summit reception at the Lancaster Convention Center. And then, fingers crossed, I'll be publishing that live show on Wednesday, October 9th. So look for that. And just a heads up, I'm planning on taking a week or two off from the show in October, but I've got some good shows lined up for you, including an interview with the founder of Phylos Bioscience, Mowgli Holmes. So look for that a bit later in the month. So I also just want to express my gratitude and deep appreciation for the fact that you listen to the show. It's an honor to get to make this and to talk to people in the hemp industry. And I've gotten lots of great emails and phone calls from listeners. So thank you all for that. And I'm glad that this show is providing you information that you need. So yeah, that does it for me, I suppose. My name is Eric Herlock. I am the digital editor at Lancaster Farming Newspaper, the greatest agricultural newspaper in the world. It's true. Check it out. You'll see why. All right, until next time, I'll see you in the newspaper.
Industrial hemp.
This episode of the Lancaster Farming Industrial Hemp Podcast, episode 53, is copyright 2019 by Lancaster Farming. Lancaster Farming is part of the Steinman Communication family. Today's show was written and recorded, edited and produced by Eric Herlock. The music you heard is courtesy of Tin Bird Shadow.